Listen to timely advice from experts as we discuss all things leadership and technology. You'll get the inside scoop on better business practices, from making the most of your technology to leading a company with your head and heart. Pull up a seat with Marco CEO Jeff Gao and President Doug Albregts. Let's tech.
So, welcome back to Let's Tech, where we discuss all things technology, leadership, and, just about anything that I deem appropriate on a day like today. But today we're going to talk about how you can prepare your organization in 2021 for, all the things that are going to change in technology. And so, I have a great guest here with me today, and he is the VP of IT Services here at Marco. He has spent 16 or so years at one of our great vendor partners, Cisco, and I did a little research on this guy, and he's always been a systems engineer or some sort of a network engineer, so that equals him being very smart. And he's here this week. We were able to pull him out of the great state of North Dakota and get him here for a planning session, some strategic planning. We're very happy to have him. Welcome, Steve John.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So we're glad to have you here, and we're going to talk about technology today. So and some of the things that continue to be the driving force inside of every organization, no matter what size, geography, all those things. Technology is key to how we work. It's how we collaborate and how we get results. And I think this has been probably the most interesting year we've had. But COVID is kind of a big one, and I think it's going to be really impactful because we have to deal with remote workforces and how to collaborate with people that have been moved to their house to work, and then you got the whole business continuity thing. And you and I have talked about security and the challenge it is, moving people from home, and so there's just a lot of stuff going on. So from your perspective, Steve, what do you think? What are some of the key trends that organizations need to really think about or watch for 2021?
Well, you mentioned security. Security, of course, is kind of the given. It's the baseline, and everything relies on due diligence around security. Work from home, as you're saying, is the new norm, and every organization to some extent is going to adopt the technology needed from a work from home, right? And so being able to provide the professional experience and interaction with between employees and customers in that work from home environment is going to be a challenge. And really also being able to provide that, work is an activity, not a place type of interaction is key. And so cloud-based technologies, especially in that work from home environment, are going to be key technologies that are going to drive that effectiveness. So cloud voice, cloud collaboration, and certainly cloud-based applications.
Yeah. So we talk about, you brought up a lot there. We talk about impact. I think security is going to stretch us the most in terms of, this is my opinion, but I want to ask you, but I think security is going to be the one that stretches our organization the most in terms of not just importance, but in terms of getting it right, because it's probably one of the biggest threats we see every single day. But you listed a lot. What do you think is the most impactful out of all those?
Security, but you guys did a really good job of the podcast recently with Mike Burgard and talked through that. So let's focus on some additional things. Data runs organizations. Yeah. So aside from the security of data, what are the other things that are important there? There's a lot of different applications, a lot of different spots for the data now in organizations. And so being able to stitch together that data to be able to make predictive and real-time decisions for an organization, artificial intelligence, blockchaining, putting that data together, that's going to be a key and impactful thing going forward. But really, the cloud and voice collaborations around maintaining a culture, it's a tough thing, working from home and maintaining that cooler talk type of interaction that you get, and really the unspoken communications that happens in daily communications and maintaining that. maintaining a professional environment, even though you're not in control of the situation anymore because they're not in your four walls. So those cloud collaboration and voice technologies are going to be probably the most impactful, specifically in the work from home environment.
Yeah, access to data dissemination, where we put it, how we manage it. Yeah, I think those are all really big. And I think the biggest thing you said, I think the impact of just going to a home office and the impact that has on the morale, the culture of an organization. Those things are important, but just the impacts it has on technology. And as we look out to 2021 and we look at what's happened with COVID, I mean, the natural question is, what do you think is going to be one of the most, what's going to change the most? What's going to be the most different in terms of technology as we move forward?
There's a lot of technologies when you kind of move outside of your four walls of your office. I mentioned earlier, you kind of lose control of what that experience could be. People are working in the kitchen table. They're working in a desk at the foot of their bed.
Their kids in the background,
right.
all the noise.
Kids in the background.
Yeah.
They got the dogs barking. You got all those situations. I mean, who has not been on a WebEx where the dog hasn't been barking? It's a daily occurrence. How do you make that a more professional experience?
Sure.
And how do you differentiate yourself versus your competitors? That's going to be transpiring and transforming here more in 2021 than we've seen it in the past.
We help organizations with a lot of the things you're talking about, and you know, we try to prepare them as best as we can, and our sales teams and our business development reps, our service. I mean, you know, we probably more than 80. I think it's maybe 85% of our employees touch a customer in some way, whether it's in the field, whether it's installation, sales, service, you know, on and on and on. What should we be doing, or what should we be helping companies do to prepare for these technology changes?
Assessing, analyzing current effectiveness and current efficiencies as an organization, and really look forward to the tools and the applications that are available to modernize your business is really a key transformation to take.
Yeah, I like that. So one of the biggest topics we heard, especially through this whole COVID pandemic, and I think every company now it has to have a policy, or has to be thinking about this, or has to have it in its plans. The whole idea around business continuity and the resiliency, and those two topics have been in the headlines. If you read the Wall Street Journal or The Economist, it's just. So how do you see that? How do you see that playing out in 2021? And how do we need to, us or any business, how do they need to keep, you know, transforming or changing to be more resilient?
It's a lot driven by the applications, and some applications are really well designed to work in a cloud environment. Others are designed to work well in their own data center environment. And really being able to stitch together that data in disparate locations is a challenge. And so there's technologies that, when you move to the cloud, now you really just need to look at building resiliency to the cloud, right? It actually simplifies the business continuity as long as you get some resiliency. And there's technologies today that you can build networks to make it redundant and resilient to the cloud. And then for the non-cloud applications, there's additional technologies, including things like, it's something you'll hear a lot more of going forward, called an edge computing. The ability basically to take data that's in the cloud, but to do the very complex processing on local presence where the machines are that you need to send that data to. And so, really it's understanding where the data resides and then building your systems and networks to be resilient in that way. But cloud certainly helps. Yeah,
a lot of our listeners right now they're thinking that I'm lost in this conversation. But I understood edge computing. That's really good. You mentioned a bit ago about the remote workforce. What should organizations be looking for when it comes to collaborations, or better said, maybe what are some of the must-haves when you're looking at collaboration?
Yeah, and so I did mention earlier the evolution of work and how work is and is performed is so different than 30 years ago when I started this whole thing, and really it's never more prevalent than today, where work really is an activity. It doesn't matter where you're at. So the ability to actually deliver that experience in that diverse environment of wherever you happen to be in the world is a key thing. So I usually actually look at it saying, well, we could talk about some features and maybe we'll do that here further, but I usually follow it up with asking some questions, right?
Yeah.
As you're looking at these technologies, do the solutions have an element of instant messaging and chatting and the instant keyboard interaction, if you will? All of them do, right?
Yeah.
All of them have got some, like Microsoft Teams, Cisco WebEx Teams, a couple of key technologies, and they all have an element of audio, right?
Sure.
Old technology. They've all got an element of video, but it's really about the experience and how that all gets stitched together.
Yeah.
And that will bode well towards the usability of the tool. Does it provide a professional, high quality experience? Is it adaptable, and is it a reliable experience? Those are all key things to look at. And then, you can never underestimate the value of being easy to use, right? If I'm going to use these technologies, is it easy? Does it foster a positive customer and employee experience? Because if it does, they're going to use it. If it doesn't, you'll never get them to use it, right? And so really, you ask the customers when they're looking at the solutions to ask themselves, how close to an in-person experience is it?
It's true.
Yeah.
The smart office, the whole, you walk into your office and it's doing a facial scan or a retina scan, and it recognizes your voice. And I think we're headed to a world where we look at a device and we talk to it and it can talk back, or we can tell it to print to a certain device out on the network, or we can say, I want this presentation to be in, that room in 20 minutes for my 10 o'clock meeting, or looking at my calendar and saying, hey, I want my 10 o'clock to be moved to 3 and notify the folks that were on my 10 o'clock. I think that's the way we're headed, but I think the steps to get there are probably through collaboration and collaboration tools. And we've seen the advancements of collaboration tools. We're not quite there, what I just explained, like WebEx, accelerate in 2020. What are some of the really cool features you're seeing and functionalities that are rolling out next with these tools?
Sure. Yeah, and I mentioned a little bit with Teams that whole, how do you replace the cooler talk? How do you replace the team or your current team or your work group interactions that you have? You standing up, you're in the cubes, you all stand up and you're chit-chatting and talking to each other, or lobbing ideas off of things. That's really how Teams, like WebEx Teams, is utilized. You're building channels and common, themes, if you will, or common work groups. That's a really cool thing. It's been around for a little bit of time, but it's really accelerated this year in the work from home environment. But we talked about the experience as well. You join some of these other collaboration technologies that we don't sell, where you join it, and if your video quality and audio quality is poor, everybody else gets to experience that with you, right? So WebEx recently put in a functionality where you can actually test your microphone. What's your volume like? Right?
Yeah, sure.
How's your audio, and what's your video quality? Preview all of that before you join the WebEx, right? That's a cool thing. And what about I'm in the kitchen, or I'm in the bedroom, like I mentioned before. That's not the most professional environment. How do I solve that problem? Well, the technologies in the collaboration solutions to be able to customize your background, being able to utilize technologies like that to provide more of a professional environment, or a safe environment, and you don't have to worry about the kids running in the background and kind of disrupting your meetings. That's a big deal. Some of the other cool things you mentioned, actually, facial recognition. WebEx has got a functionality where maybe some of the participants happen to be in a conference room. And if they're in that conference room, it's, hey, I don't know who this person is or that person is. There's actually the ability to do name tags.
Oh, is that right?
And have
I didn't know
recognition. That. Yeah. So I can see that it's Doug here, and it's Jonathan over here, and it's Jeff over there, even though I'm a participant that's working from my home. It's really pretty neat. One of the other things I'm really poor at is actually taking good, copious notes.
Yeah.
Right.
Me too, by the way.
Yeah. It's,
I can't even read my own notes. But.
Yeah, well, me neither. They don't teach cursive in school anymore.
They don't.
That's crazy. And so the functionality now in WebEx to actually transcribe your meetings is there. So I actually can take the spoken words and actually transcribe them and then provide you the meeting notes.
That's great.
Which is great. And then there's been a couple of other really key things, like, we mentioned all of the different endpoints and the different locations of where you can be and work. Well, am I on an iPad? Am I on an iPhone? Am I on a Samsung device? Am I on a laptop? They all display the content differently, or should, because they're different devices. The actual ability for the collaboration tool to detect what type of device it is and make sure the content is displayed on the most effective way possible on those devices is also a technology. And I got a couple others that are really cool. One is a recent acquisition I talked about the dogs barking, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or, hey, I've skipped out of work maybe a little early to go watch my son's basketball game or my daughter's basketball game. You hear the whistling of the referee, or you're at the airport and they're announcing the next flight and you hear that on your conference calls. Cisco acquired a company called Babel Labs that actually takes and blocks out that background noise. So dog barking goes bye-bye, right?
I don't know how they do that. That is amazing.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's a really cool, innovative thing that you would not have thought of, a few years ago.
No way.
And an interesting thing that has come out now is, again, taking that artificial intelligence, and there's some ability to use AI and sensors. Hey, we're in this social distancing world, and I need to be 6 feet apart. And I noticed that in my organization, we here, Marco in St. Cloud, we've got a lot of different offices with video endpoints in them. And, hey, we're too close in this office. The sensors are telling me that because of facial recognition and temperature and heat sensors. Hey, by the way, Doug, the tech data suite is open. The various different rooms are open and available. And I see you've got too many people in this conference room. I'll dynamically and on the fly schedule those rooms and notify you. So now you can take more people out of your current conference room and spread them out, and they're all part of the same meeting. They'll join so they can walk over to the other conference room and it's ready to rock and roll.
So so you're telling me these tools, the office is getting smarter, what we just talked about, and I really like the outside noise thing because it's funny how all these things have been exasperated because of COVID, because we're all conducting business this way. And but there's one critical thing to that you find out how bad it's actually been through all this, and it's key to, because everything you just said, you need connectivity, and you need good connectivity, and it's a critical component for holding everything together. You can't do half of the stuff you were just talking about if you're dropping or we don't have right connectivity. So
right.
What should organizations be preparing for in this area? Because and what does it look like to get better, faster, reliable connectivity, as it looks like this is going to be the new norm?
Yeah. Well, the first is understanding your environment, right? Where does the data or the application reside? And how do you build performance, redundancy, security, reliability around that environment? So the key first is understanding. What are your performance needs? What type of circuits do you need? What performance do you need in your circuits? Hey, I'm in this work from home environment. Do my applications reside in my corporate data center where I have to make sure that my remote user working from their home can get to the data center, or is it out to the cloud where they can just use their local internet service provider and go directly to those applications? So it's understanding that, and then building a reliable network around that. And there's new technologies like you can order the new iPhone 12 now, right? Which has got native 5G technology in there, which is, hey, 10x the performance, let's say, and now I've got real ability to deliver some real-time information, streaming information to the endpoint themselves. Well, it's going to provide additional capability for that work-from-home environment, maybe redundant connections, and just being able to build that resiliency. And there's other technologies like software-defined wide area networking, or SD-WAN, that can help you build intelligence around your routing in your network, whether it's to the data center or to other locations. And so building all of those things in a way that's building resiliency is key. But the one thing that's probably a biggest challenge when you do that is visibility. If stuff isn't working,
yeah,
how do you know?
True.
How do you know? Right? And we use a technology from Cisco called Thousand Eyes. So you can actually understand, hey, you know what? My performance to my Microsoft data center isn't working so hot, right? In Microsoft O365. Why? Well, 3 service providers down the line from you in Pelican Rapids, Minnesota, to where O365 data center is having problems, and it actually provides you that visibility. It's really
well. I'm going to sleep better tonight based on that one. I can tell you
cool.
That connectivity thing we're solving for. So, changing gears a little bit. I've been doing my reading, during the evenings, and I did see that. The IT spend, I think it was a Gartner or IDC, but it's okay to guess because it was in an article. But it was one of those two that are very reputable on data, and the IT spend this year is going to be down significantly, primarily on hardware, but the overall IT spend across the world, because companies were closed for so long, is going to be down. And then they both agree that there's going to be a big rebound in 2021, and so. And so what that tells me is organizations are going to be spending a lot of money or need to invest a lot of money as we get into 2021. What are organizations usually in your mind that you see out there, especially from your vantage point from our company? What are they usually the least prepared for? I have a guess, but I'm wondering what you're going to say.
Should I ask you what your guess is?
My guess is going to be, well, because I own security here, and and Mike Burgard's always chirping in my ear, I'm going to probably say security.
That was going to be my answer as well. Yeah, and the work from home environment and that work from anywhere environment is making it that much more complex, right? It also puts more onus on security training, security awareness training, making sure people that understand what they got to look out for, because these bad actors and hackers are getting quite sophisticated. They're able to make Amazon emails look just like an Amazon email and an Amazon logo, and you think it's a normal interaction coming from Amazon to your email, or you even get text messages from places that look kind of normal that actually are not normal and they're malicious. Since it's such a disparate environment of where your users are, in addition to security training, it's really securing the endpoint.
Sure.
And then after you secure the endpoint, you certainly have your network level of access controls and things like that. But the other key thing is that now you got information around security coming from all of these different areas. A lot of organizations don't have the skill set, the people, the staff to actually put the security information that they're collecting together. So being able to log that, monitor it, correlate that, and stitch it all together so that you have a comprehensive security story is a challenge. That's probably what they're least prepared for.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're here. You're actually here because we're doing some planning, and I'm sure we could have some advice for leaders as they plan in 2021. But I'm just gonna skip to really what my final question is. But if you could create one piece of technology in 2021 for business, and be the next Bill Gates, Steve John. Imagine that for a minute. Or be the next, I don't even know, who cares. But be the next guy that's, a trillionaire. Yeah. What would that be? Just for fun.
I got complete off the wall one.
I want to hear it.
All right.
Can I invest in it first?
You could.
Okay.
Yeah. How about an app that has, artificial intelligence or intelligence in there to actually navigate or be dynamic in your human conversation interactions, right? Because from an organization side of things, usually when things go wrong, it's because of communications.
That's true.
Right? Lack of communications or just ineffective communications. And the ability to actually, put bugs in people's ears saying, oh, hey, this person is asking this, and being able to steer their conversation and their response in a completely different way than they would think is something that is a skill and a talent that is so valuable in navigating challenges with customers.
Well, by the way, that's a challenge at home.
Yeah.
So you take the business product, I'll take the consumer product.
You're probably going to make more money.
We'll meet halfway. Exactly. Well, hey, man, it's been a pleasure.
Likewise.
And I appreciate you coming over here and doing this. You're a really, really great guy and super valuable to our organization. And I know a lot of the information we talked about today is going to be super valuable to our 6 million listeners. We have 6 million listeners, right?
I thought it was 7.
Yeah. And for those of you out there that haven't had a chance to subscribe to Let's Tech, please subscribe and do so, because we're hoping that you find this valuable. And if you have feedback for us, please don't hesitate to give us that feedback. And well, that's a wrap for this week. And thank you very much for listening.